An entire generation just stopped buying games because they're too expensive, because they don't have the money. And we're probably talking about the generation that stole their mom's credit card to pay for like Candy Crush or something. So I think it tells a lot. People, they're addicted to video game, but they still refuses to buy video game. It means they don't have the money.
Imagine everybody telling you how useless you are while still demanding that you buy their stuff. You know, 5 years ago, they said that $70 was the new normal. Now they're eyeing $80 games. Microtransactions have infested
exactly
everything.
What
Mobile
I said.
gaming's gone nuclear. These guys have brought in billions of dollars off the back of our spending and then poured 2 to 3 times as much into absolute garbage. And after all of that, an entire generation just stopped buying games. We're about to watch the games industry bottom out and lose the back end. Years of financial pressure shoved onto players. Games being torn apart and sold back to us piece by piece, all to keep their shareholders happy, all about to flip. And it's not because of some new trend or protest.
The thing is that there's games like Fortnite that allows you to play a free game that offers you like a full gameplay without having to pay. You can play for skin. You can pay for skin. You can play for. You can probably pay for multiple things. I never played Fortnite. I played League of Legends, where you can buy skins. There's $500 skin, but the monetization stops there. The full gameplay is free. And then you have games like Blizzard, where you have to pay a subscription, pay for the game, pay for mounts, pay for transmog, pay for early access nowadays, pay for like so many things that the Gen Zs are not going to pay for it. There are so many other games that they can play. Yes, the games look good, but you play the game and you realize that if you want to be good at the game, you have to pay like $1,000 plus. It's not worth it. You don't even know if you like the game yet.
Part and sold back to us piece by piece, all to keep their shareholders happy, all about to flip. And it's not because of some new trend or protest. It's because Gen Z isn't buying. And not out of choice. They've just been priced out of the hobby entirely. Locked out of an economy, handed debt instead of jobs, and scam after scam ever since they became adults. You know, every time that I've ever talked about any of these video game industry issues, whether that's spending, pricing, or anything else, it's always been that it's not that these guys can't do any of this stuff. It's just that they're too damn aggressive. They're moving way too fast. They're asking.
I think they're just trying to make money. It's not about the video game anymore. Like right now, the main public is the shareholders. And the second one is the gamers. So they're making a game in the sense that they want to make as much money as they possibly can with that game. Instead of making a good game and then finding ways to monetize it and not make the public like frustrated or like feel like they're getting ripped off. So this is why nowadays we have games like Diablo 4. I think Diablo 4 was one of the biggest like red flag for me. Like the game was clearly not ready. Like we played the beta and like the game was not ready. It was decent. It was good. The late game was lacking. The itemization was lacking. There was multiple things that were missing in the game. It felt like it was not completed. And then they released it. They made millions and millions of dollars. They actually made a ton of money with Diablo 4. Even though nobody is playing it anymore. I'm pretty sure some people are playing it, but it's a dead game. We can definitely call it a dead game compared to what it could be. And this is all due to monetization, heavy monetization, because the shareholders were asking for money and they just decided to release the game early instead of waiting for a year. Like I think Crimson Desert is doing this at the moment. They're postponing the game to 2026 because the game is not ready. And I think this is a very good thing because they're focusing on quality instead of money, which is, if you deliver quality, you're going to get money in return no matter what. Like we've seen this with multiple games. And that's why I really liked Expedition 33 when it came out, because it's made with the same like passion that older games were made with, and that's insanely cool.
For way too much, and they're outpacing their own customers to the point that they're lapping us. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why younger players are spending a fraction of what their older counterparts are and why that number just dropped even further. We're also going to be digging into how this industry has been burning through its audience faster than it can replace them and why this might be the moment that it all falls apart.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we had it bad. These kids are cooked. I feel like I've been sounding the alarms for the better part of a year now, pointing out every crack in the hull before the ship hits the rocks. Hell, Activision is out here channeling their inner Titanic by openly stating that they think Call of Duty is, quote, too big to fail, while apparently completely...
Dude, I saw the numbers. I think Battlefield just dropped, like, I don't know, like 90% of the player base. I don't know if this is normal, but... like, maybe it's going to go up, or like there was a maintenance, but it was insane.
Unaware of the generational iceberg every publisher is about to slam into. Now, before we get too deep into the why, let's start talking about what's actually happening. In an article from PC Gamer written by Stevie Bonifield titled, "New Study Shows Gen Z is spending way less on video games than older gamers. Young people can't even afford gaming anymore." They write, young people are so strapped for cash right now that even video games are too expensive for them. A June study by Circana, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, found that spending among 18 to 24-year-olds dropped by 13% from January to April 2025 compared to last year. Video game purchases were hit particularly hard, falling nearly 25%, according to a chart Circana's Matt Piscatella shared on Blue Sky. For context, Piscatella shared another chart.
But is that nowadays we don't just buy games, we buy a game that has a store with boxes, with loot boxes, that has a 1.5% chance to get the actual item that you want. And when you get that actual item, it can roll from 1 to 5, but you only need a 5 for it to be relevant in the game. So you basically have to buy 500 boxes to maybe get the item and be lucky. Like, it doesn't make sense. Back in the day, the games were like, what, like $60, and people were calling them expensive, but you just had to buy that $60. That was it. That was the game. And that's, if they just do that, if games right now would be $100, but there would be nothing else attached to it, it would be completely fine. It's just that we see $100 and we know that there's going to be other things related to it. So we're like, fuck. Like, I'm not buying $100 for like a bullshit like this, right? What is this game? Looks interesting. I actually don't know. Maybe he's going to tell it in the future. I'll tell you guys as soon as I know.
Comparing the drop in spending among Gen Z to spending changes in older generations, the difference is dramatic. Where older generations spending dropped less than 5%, Gen Z's is plummeting. It's particularly surprising to see such a sharp drop in spending on video games, which historically cater to young people. Now, to reference Matt Piscatella's post directly, video game spend among 16 to 24s is down sharply. Young grads are having a much tougher time finding jobs. Student loan payments are restarting for millions of borrowers. Credit card delinquency rates have risen to their highest points since before the pandemic. Overall, purchasing by 18 to 24s has plummeted, especially when compared to other age groups. Now, that's already bleak, but here's where it gets critical for the games industry. Back in March, a separate study showed that Gen Z and Gen A already make up 28% of all gamers. Millennials just falling right behind them at 26%. The difference between the two of them is that only 18% of millennials reportedly spent nothing on games, while more than double that number of Gen Z gamers spent nothing at all. And when they do spend, it's less across the board. Just 35% of Gen Z average more than $10 a month on microtransactions compared to 50% of millennials. And remember, all this data came out before the latest spending drop, which means that right now, younger generations are probably spending less than half of what their older counterparts do.
Okay.
Now, we add this to the fact that older generations are aging out of the hobby, playing less, sticking to older games that were aimed at them, spending less money, and you have a spending collapse that is going to pull the rug right out from underneath the industry. And I do not see this getting better, because nothing about the conditions for younger generations is going to improve anytime soon. I mean, I know it's practically a generational tradition now for each one to call the next one the problem, too lazy, too soft, unmotivated, doing something that the older crowd doesn't like. I'm a millennial. I heard it all. We lack work ethic. We were technology obsessed. We didn't respect authority. We weren't loyal to our employers. We were entitled, narcissistic, which I always found hilarious considering that those traits supposedly would be coming from the people that raised and educated us. It's basically just them criticizing their own work, but at least we could escape it. We had the internet at the time, which still felt like our own. Gen Z doesn't. They live under a constant torrent of criticism for things entirely outside of their control.
Take bets, take odds. Which one of these guys lives at home right now at age?
I think that, most men with even an ounce of testosterone would find this a touch demeaning.
We have to bring back shame in this country, Josh.
We do.
Like, it's crazy to me. Like, you would have to waterboard.
Stay-at-home stun, young men embracing unemployment, living at home. I don't think it's just that. We could see it because they live at home. They are embracing unemployment, but I don't think this is the actual case. I think people are unemployed, not unemployed. They're living at home because they don't have the money to go out of it. Because the apartment are like, the rent is what, like 1,500 minimum, and you have like a rotten house or something like that with rats. You have to deal with something that is completely like in unlivable conditions. $2,000, $2,500 if you live in like very big cities. Like obviously you're going to live at home if you can, even if you have a job, because you're going to try to put as much money as you can on the side, so you're going to be able to maybe afford a house in the future. And I say maybe because you probably will not. Like the younger you are, the least amount of chance you have. I'm not. I don't want to say that to be completely pessimistic, but we're kind of heading that way. At least we're heading to an economy where you can afford a house, but you're never going to be able to afford to own it. You're going to be able to only afford to pay rent for the rest of your life in a house instead of an apartment or something like that. But that's insane.
Me like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to get me to admit that I'm a stay-at-home son.
But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
I'm going to crash out. They need to put me on the news. How can you blame them? We've seen nothing but headlines of companies switching to AI and automation. Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people at Xbox to build AI infrastructure. Fast food joints are running with skeleton crews and robots. Kids are graduating from college to find their entry-level jobs don't even exist anymore, or somehow now require 5 years of experience. Their degree, which was told to them was their one ticket in life, is now useless. They are saddled with debt. They're being spawn camped by college costs, DoorDash, and buy now, pay later scams because they can't afford to buy anything outright. They've been scalped, Dropbox, pulled into pyramid schemes, conned into gambling on crypto, and spammed with sports ads at every given turn. They're careening towards a future with no real hope or relief. And the best thing that society can give them is a mix of finger-waving Karens and some pull yourself up by your bootstrap Andes that are lecturing them for not wanting to swim in the pool that they just pissed in.
Damn, he's rapping. Holy shit, what a rent. But yes, I want to stay home and play. I mean, I think with a world that this shitty, like, you know, like your job is going to underpay you. Like you're barely going to be able to afford rent or to afford anything. Like obviously you want to escape and play video game. Like who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Like that's what video games are used for. It's a good escape.
Dipshits that are running the world right now, and it's fucking embarrassing. I feel for you younger generations because they pulled the exact same shit on us. Back in the early to mid 2000s, they camped us in high school, shoved us towards college, funneling kids into for-profit schools with unaccredited degrees, jacked up tuitions and fake job placement stats, all to manufacture hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. And when it was all exposed as a scam, well, we were still labeled as the entitled ones in the workforce. It is wild to me that this is still the message that older generations want to push.
True.
Shame younger workers, demotivate them further instead of actually doing something useful. Things like bringing back vocational training, teaching real financial literacy in high school, or telling young men that they can make serious money as operators, electricians, pipe fitters, boilermakers, or in a dozen other trades where they can meet coworkers that will become like family.
I actually think that this is going to be the most paid jobs. Everything that he mentioned, like electricians, plumber, like construction worker, like all of this with the rise of AI, and especially Gen Z being that interested about computers, like there will be like a bigger amount of people that will want to go into like IT and other computer related jobs, right? So like every physical jobs will have less influx of people, and they will be harder to replace by AI. So I think the future remains, like the future jobs, like the high paying jobs and like with job security and everything like that, lies in these positions where it's really physical. Maybe not that physical, but at least you have to be there and use your hands to do the work. It's not about computer. That's where you're going to get paid the most.
Both their financial and their social burdens. But no, keeping them financially disadvantaged is a lot more profitable for these guys. That's why I don't see things improving, not for younger generations and definitely not for the games industry. If you can't afford rent, you're not dropping $70 on a new game release or $20 on a Fortnite skin. You're thinking about the next meal. You're playing games for free if you even have time to play, or you're just finding cheaper hobbies altogether. So my question is, where's the relief supposed to come from an industry that's already outpricing its current user base when the next wave of customers can't even afford to walk in the door? Console prices are already north of $500. Games are being pushed at $80. Microtransaction bundles are just about the exact exact same price. Last year, we saw almost 19,000 games released, and nearly 150 of them were AAA and AA. Split that in half and average it out to $30 million for AA and $150 million for AAA, and you're looking at $13.5 billion invested in games, and likely even more this year. The spending is insane, the demands are insane, and instead of pumping the brakes, they're just flooring it right into the wall. I mean, beyond that, whether you have the money or not doesn't really matter, because it's just not worth it anymore. The quality has dropped so far that when people can't afford games, there's less of a reason to bother. Publishers have convinced themselves that going wide, making every game for everyone, stuffing in every mechanic, every identity, and every message somehow is going to make their games more appealing, when all it's done is just made their games boring, bland, and
or like XX game remake number 7. Like, that's one of the things, like Battlefield 6, Call of Duty 17, and things like that. I feel the more they will release games like that, less and less people will play them, because they just re-release the same games. With modification, there's like graphic improvement, some like gameplay mechanics have been changed, but it's still the same game. It's still the same thing. So like, why would you not play the old one? Or like, you've played the old one already, so like you're just gonna move out to another game instead.
Forgettable. The reason that their games aren't selling right now is simple. It's because they suck and they're overpriced. Why would I pay $70 for Assassin's Creed Shadows when I could go pay $40 and play Black Flag? Why would I play Starfield?
Yes, sir. Exactly what I said. Oh my god. Yeah. There we go. Words of wisdom.
When I could fire up Fallout 3 with mods and make it look current gen. For veteran players, there is less reason than ever to buy. For younger players, it's financially impossible. And that's the exact reason why these companies are so against things like stop killing games or digital ownership. Because they don't want us sticking to the games that we already have. They want to force us into the next thing, whether it's worth it or not. But here's the problem with that strategy, especially given the financial conditions that a lot of people are in right now. When people feel pushed, they push back. So if you're going to price your customers out of the hobby, if you're going to make the games that they own inaccessible, well, they're just going to find another way like they always have, whether that's buying used, whether that's emulating, whether that's just pirating these games. And I don't think that's a genie that you can try to put back in the bottle. You can clap down on it as much as you want, but these folks will find a way to crack these games eventually, especially
if they cannot afford game, they will find a way to play them anyway. This will eventually happen. And I just thought about something when he was talking. Just imagine when we will have to pay Windows every single month, like a subscription. If you want to have Windows on your computer, you're going to have a subscription for it. I feel that would be so diabolical, but it could happen.
When they're motivated enough. And a lot of people are going to get very motivated very soon. And this is a grave that you dug for yourself. In a lot of cases, you're still digging. No wonder these guys want us to get rid of our digital privacy. Wonder why. Never solutions, only stopgaps to protect themselves. That's all these guys have ever used, while also at the exact same time jacking up prices on their customers and putting so much pressure on them. And things are spinning so wildly out of control that this is one of the few times that I actually don't see a clear picture for what they could do in the future to be able to protect themselves or save themselves outside of cutting their budgets insanely and also slashing the prices of their games. But
I think they have the wrong mentality. They don't know how games are supposed to be made anymore. I think the best example of it is Expedition 33, right? Expedition 33 was made with 33 people in the team. How many people for Diablo 4? That was 2 years ago. Over 9,000 individuals were involved in the development of Diablo 4. Probably some of them didn't do a whole lot, but let's say there's 1,000. Let's say there's 2,000 people working on Diablo 4. Compared to Expedition 33 making the game with about 33 people, there's 33 devs, right? There's some voice actors and shit like that, but the main devs making the game were 33 people. So we have games like Diablo 4 that takes way too many people. It takes longer to make the game because they have conflicting ideas. They want to do multiple things at the same time. They don't have a clear view of what they want to do with their games. They have the CEO screaming at them to make more profit. They have like Superior that has an idea of what the game should be. So I think we just have to bring back smaller studios making games, maybe it's going to take longer for the game to be made, but it's going to be way cheaper, and it's actually going to increase the quality of the game because they will all be on the same page. They will all have the same view of what the end result should be, or somewhat the same view.
Know that that's not going to happen or happen fast enough. And I'm sure a lot of these guys are probably thinking to themselves, AI is the answer. But the issue there is you're cutting the rope at both ends. People need jobs to be able to buy things. So if there's less people with jobs, there's less people buying products. And on top of that, we know that the savings that they're going to get from switching to AI is not going to be passed down to the customer. That's not going to happen. It didn't happen when they switched from physical to digital. So why would it happen now?
Yeah,
if you're in your 20s or younger and you're watching this channel, first I'd like to say great taste. But beyond that, I try to do my best to be able to promote the trades as much as I possibly can because it helped me when I was in the lowest point of my life. I didn't think I had a future. I didn't think I had anywhere to go. And then I found my way into the construction industry, and it gave me the ability to chase a dream like this later on down the road.
Good for you, man.
And I cannot recommend the trades enough. It's some of the greatest people that you can work with. It's incredibly difficult to break into. I'll give it that. There's a lot of nepotism. You got to know somebody in a lot of cases. Unless you're from like smaller cities and areas. Usually those places are, looking for folks. Literally every hall that I had ever worked with was desperate for young folk because in most cases they had guys that were in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and that's all they ever had. And they just had nobody else that was younger, and they need guys to be able to carry stuff. It's good money. It's on.
Your back is intact, so can you break it for me?
This money, and a lot of people over the course of time have tried to vilify it as much as they possibly can. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's because they're trying to keep you financially down. That's what it is.
Yeah.
This is going to move fast, very fast. Millennials, while being better off than Gen Z,
did I skip the video? I feel like
all they ever had, and they just had nobody else that was younger, and they need guys to be able to carry stuff. Course of time, who've tried to vilify it as much as they possibly can, and I'm going to be honest with you, that's because they're trying to keep you financially down. That's what it is.
I guess, but is that good for the?
This is going to move fast
for the economy,
very fast,
to keep us financially
Millennials,
down.
while being better off than Gen Z, they're not that much better off, and they're not so much better off that they can support the entire industry as we know it today. With its current costs and how much it's monetized, it's just not going to happen. And the funny thing is, the more I think about it now, when I look at a lot of the games that have failed over the last couple of months or last couple of years,
there's a lot, by the way.
Any of the games that weren't aimed at us, millennials, failed badly in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they never had another generation to be able to catch them. So if they were aiming for somebody else, they just straight up missed because those guys didn't have the money to be able to buy the games. These guys are screwed. These games take too long to make. They're too expensive to make. And while these guys are flailing around trying to figure everything out, indie's just going to come in and steal the scene. In fact, they already have. Now, I want to make this clear. Younger generations not buying games is not a passing trend. This is an industry-wide survival issue, at least for the modern games industry as we know it, because Gen Z is just the start. The generations that are behind them are going to have even fewer job prospects if things keep going this way. That means that when millennials are no longer the industry's core spenders, there won't be a replacement audience with the same buying power. And I think some publishers know this, or most publishers probably do, especially since they're the ones that are also contributing to those jobs disappearing. But given their size, the cost of their games, and the way that they operate, it's almost impossible for them to avoid a crash. I mean, the answers that these guys came to were live services and subscription platforms like Game Pass, Ubisoft Plus, PlayStation Plus, and more. On paper, the reasoning seems relatively solid. Make free-to-play games and offer subscription services to be able to lower the barrier of entry, but the costs of running these services do not line up with the content or the monetization that they're delivering, and I think the result of this is going to be pretty predictable. Games...
Yeah, well, the thing is that, for me, if you really, really like a game, like we do play World of Warcraft, and like I do not mind playing a subscription for a game that I like, and I'm gonna play for like 4 hours a night, and I really like the game. But the point of a battle pass, the point of a subscription, is to not pay anything else after that. It's to pay your game, because like, for example, World of Warcraft, it's a live service, and like obviously it needs money. It needs money flow so it can bring like new content every single year, every single month, bring patches, ban the bots and whatnot. But none of this is happening. Well, not necessarily, like there's new patches and whatnot. But you have to pay for these patches. You have to pay for new expansions. So the subscription is not even paying for this. It's not going the CEO's pocket. That's all it is. Yeah, ban the bots. They're not doing this. There's probably like one guy, like one intern. He's probably not even paid. Like he doesn't even know like what the fuck he's doing there, and he's supposed to ban bots, and it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. But if it was just a subscription, I would be totally fine about paying it. I'm totally fine with a subscription. It just doesn't stop there. It's just it's the beginning of the iceberg. I mean, the subscription is nothing. It's the beginning of the monetization. But if it's only about a battle pass, I'll pay it. Sure, I'll pay it. If I really like the game and I want to play it, yeah, I'll pay the battle pass. If the monetization stops there.
And services that are aggressively monetized, overpriced, and have underwhelming offerings that struggle to be able to keep people engaged. With live service games, moderate success is not going to be enough in the future, and relying on them alone is only going to cause more issues down the line. I mean, right now, the entire model is to make the game for free and then to charge heavily for everything inside it. Cosmetics, weapons, playtime in some cases, $20 to $30, sometimes even over $100. And as costs start to rise and profit margins start to tighten, those prices are going to get pushed even higher to squeeze their players harder. And the more games that start to flood the market that are like this, the prices are going to just keep climbing to be able to justify their operating budget. And the higher the climb, the less players are going to be willing to buy in, especially given economic conditions. So publishers are just going to start responding by making those purchases more central to the experience. Free cosmetics are going to be deliberately made to look worse than paid ones. We already see that right now. Progression is going to start to get locked behind paywalls. Items are going to come in with built-in advantages. Bit by bit, the games are going to be not about playing them anymore. It's just going to be about spending. And eventually, people are just going to start walking away. Yep, I've always looked at Korean pay-to-win live service games as a microcosm.
They're already starting. Like, all the most popular games are older games at the moment. Like, everybody is playing Fortnite. Like, you can go Twitch, right? Actually, we can go Twitch here. Go browse. Like, what is the top games right now? Valorant, free. Grand Theft Auto, well, older game. Battlefield 6, it's newest. It doesn't really count. Fortnite, old game. Peak, I'm not sure if you have to buy it, but I think this is probably like an indie game. League of Legends, free, old game. World of Warcraft, it's one of the only one out there that is like pay to win, I guess, but it's not exactly pay to win. If you pay your subscription, you can play World of Warcraft Classic now, so there's that. Counter-Strike, again, free. Minecraft. Is Minecraft free? Or you have to buy it? But it's not that monetized, right? Old game too. And there's a lot of young people, like Gen Z, are addicted to Minecraft. Like, that's their game of choice. There's Roblox. There's Dota is another one. Teamfight Tactic from League of Legends too. Like, they're all free games, basically. They're all free games. Or they're very, very, very cheap games. Or they're old. So there's nostalgia into it. And Pokemon Go. Wow, I didn't know Pokemon Go. 16,000 viewers? What the fuck is happening there? Yeah, I said it. Roblox. There's RuneScape. But RuneScape does have a subscription, but I think the monetization stops there. If you play old school, at least. Yeah, I mean, that's enough. Overwatch. Even Overwatch, which is like, that has a lot of backlash, is a very popular game. Monopoly, what the fuck? Retro is really popular. It's like, I feel people don't want to play heavy monetized game because they don't have the money to pay for them. They don't want to pay for them. Oops. They don't want to pay for them. That's what's popular at the moment. It's the free-to-play games because they don't have the money to pay for it and they don't want to pay for it. I refuse. Like, even if I was a billionaire, I would never buy like pay-to-win stuff in a video game. I refuse to pay for pay-to-win stuff because it's not rewarding. There's 100 players in your guild. Let's say 2 of them can pay to win and the other 98 cannot. You're going to be stronger than the other 98 just because you spend 5,000 on their video game. Does that seem fair or fun? No, it's not. I don't care. Now I'm full build. I have nothing else to do in the game. I'm going to quit the game. That's it. I don't have anything to do anymore. I'm full build. There's no reason to grind anymore. So I'm just going to leave the game. So nah, I refuse to pay to win.
A accelerated version of where the Western AAA industry is headed. And if you take a look at it,
that's one time pay for $24 for Minecraft, I think you said. So yeah, it's basically free. you have a lifetime of fun, because I think there's a lot of people that play Minecraft like like since they're like 20 years old and now they're like 45, but that game has like infinite replayability for $24. And now you're gonna like pay for a game that Activision's gonna come out with, and you're only gonna play it for a month, and you're gonna pay $100 for it? Hell no, man. That's not worth it at all.
Game like Lost Ark, great gameplay. The world looked really cool.
Oh, don't talk about Lost Ark. I love Lost Ark. I actually quit the game for the same reason. For pay to win. I tried. I really tried. I was playing a bard. I think it was a bard. Yeah. I was playing a bard. Then I realized that I needed alt. But I didn't want to learn to play another class. I really like bard. I was like, I'm going to play a bard. So I created like 7 other bards and I had to play them every single day, do all my dailies on all my bards. And I was like, after 1 month, I think I was like, nope, it's over. I'm leaving the game. I'm bored. Because again, I refuse to pay to win.
And it had all the markings for a top tier MMO, but almost every path to progression was time gated or paywalled, or in most cases both. And while whales are going to spend big, you still need casual players to be able to keep that world feeling alive.
Exactly.
When every single meaningful reward in a game is locked behind a price tag, no achievement is going to feel worth anything. The game just isn't fun, and eventually most players are going to hit the same wall and just say, why am I even playing this game? Now, on the subscription side, the only way to be able to make that offer appealing is to run it at a loss and front load it with as much content as possible. We already know that Xbox tried this with Game Pass, spending billions on AA and indie titles, but all it did was create the illusion of content. Many of those games were just filler that nobody actually wanted to play. Sure, there were a couple of hits, but not enough to be able to justify the service, at least not for myself. And that means that they have to lean on their AAA blockbusters to be able to keep people subscribed, which in turn then cuts directly into their sales. And now even Game Pass is facing a content problem. Developers are openly saying that if your game is struggling, Game Pass is the place where you want to go. But if your game has a real sales potential, well, you want to keep it off that platform. Either way, content issues are not the bigger problem that they're headed towards. Is the undeniable fact that the prices for their services are going to continue to climb and likely outpace their customers, especially for some of these younger generations. They've already gone up and their operating costs are continuing to rise, so they're going to go up again. Their only alternative is to be able to find new ways to monetize, just like their movie and TV counterparts, Netflix, Hulu, Disney. We'll see ads, tiered access, and more. They're going to pass those increases down to the customer, but the problem with that is that people will tolerate price hikes and ads and things like that if there is value there. When the quality starts to slip at the same time that the bill is getting bigger, that's when subscribers start to walk. It doesn't matter how large the library is. If people feel like they're paying more for less, they're gone. It's like I said earlier, the only option that they have is to offer actual value, better games, while also slashing their budgets and their prices. But a lot of these companies think that AI is going to be the magical fix for everything, but all that's going to do is just make the underlying problem even worse. People don't have jobs or disposable income to be able to buy the games or products that they're making. So what's going to happen? They're just going to overcommit like they always do, just like they did with live service, just like they did with subscriptions, just like they did with every single trend that we've seen over the past couple of years. The quality will slide. The audience is going to start looking elsewhere. And honestly, they already have. One of the biggest breakout trends that I've noticed over the past couple of years is the rise of indie friend slop games, accessible, easy to play co-op titles that are made on no budget at all, that are pulling absolutely absurd numbers. Lethal Company, Content Warning, Chained Together, and more recently Repo and Peak have blown up purely through word of mouth and viral clips, hitting sales and player numbers that would make most AAA games cry. Peak sold over 5 million copies in under a month and hit 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. Repo sold 15 million copies in under 6 months and nearly reached 300,000 concurrent players on Steam. They all share two things: cooperative play and, more importantly, price. Peak was launched at $7.99. Repo was launched at $10. Both games cost less than a fast food meal and are cheap enough that you could buy copies for 3 of your friends and still pay less than a modern AAA title.
Yeah.
And it's not just friend slop. Across the board, some of the most popular games dominating both sales and conversations have been from small studios or even solo developers. The common thread isn't the genre, it's the price and the quality of the experience. I said it on Twitter recently when people were complaining about how Mafia Old Country doesn't have swimming, but I said that too many games go wide instead of deep. I don't need a game to do everything. I need a game to do a handful of things really fucking well.
The thing is that when a game does everything for everyone, it actually becomes bad in every single aspect of it. At least in my mind. I think I'm a World of Warcraft player, so I'm going to talk about World of Warcraft, but you can probably apply that to every game that is trying to do the same thing. Like in World of Warcraft, they applied Pokemon. Nobody wants to play Pokemon in World of Warcraft. Nobody. This video is basically we stopped buying games because we broke. Yeah, exactly. And there's other things like that. You can do transmog, you can do Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus goes to infinity, which I think is a huge problem. There's 4 different difficulties of raids. There's you can farm mounts, you can farm transmog, you can farm pets, actually, which people actually like. Not the pet battle, but some people do farm pets. You can do other things in the game that I probably forget. Achievements is the thing that I like to do. And all of these different players are not interacting with each other. Someone that is only going to plus 10 keys is never going to play with the one that only goes to plus 12. And the plus 12 is never going to go to the guy that goes plus 15, plus 18, and plus 20. The raiders that are doing normals are not playing with the one that raiding heroic. Some people like to do heroic in the first week or the second. And these guys are not going to play with the ones that are going to complete heroic after 2 months, and these guys are not going to play with the people that does only half of the raid in mythic, and they're not going to play with the world first, and they're not going to play the one that do raiding in mythic at the end of the week and whatnot. Like there's 1 million different players because there's 1 million different things to do in the game. So that's why we need to bring games that has one common goal, or the common goal is hard to like vary. So there's the community is going to play with each other. I think Diablo 2, for example, is a very well made game for that. If you want to level up, you go in a public game, everybody is playing together because they all have the common goal, level up at this moment. And after that, they all want to magic find, they all want to level up to 99, or they want to like farm torches and whatnot. So, and all of this is to level up in the end, to be honest, in Diablo 2, and to make fun builds. So, yeah, I think we just need to... That guy says it right. That's exactly it. Too many games go wide instead of deep.
Well, that's exactly what these indie titles are delivering right now. They don't have year-long roadmaps. They're not trying to be everything for everyone. They're built for the people that they were meant for, with the sole intent of just being fun. Peak is a game about climbing and cooperative fun with your friends. It doesn't need complex mechanics or RTX ray trace shadows and reflections. It just needs to be a goofy, memorable experience that delivers on an $8 promise. And yeah, people like to complain about how many roguelikes and crafting games that we've seen lately, but a lot of those games have succeeded for the exact same reason. They give players exactly what they want from that style of game. Sure, they'll add their own twist or their own style or maybe their own art or their own world or whatever, but they never overreach, especially for the price. These games are cheap, focused, they deliver exactly what players are looking for, and you can't say the same about the AAA industry. With the path that they're on right now, I'm not sure that we ever will again. And that's the real problem for AAA, because they built their entire business model around chasing an audience.
It's just that 90% of the games will have to be set aside, and there's a 10%, maybe 5% that will be good. I do believe that indie games are the future now of video games. Indie games are the future. I might actually just touch indie games and older games in the future, like just those very high quality productions, right?
Audience that's already shrinking and pricing themselves out of the next one that's coming, and they're ignoring the part of the market that's actually growing right now. While they're busy inflating their budgets, leaning on AI and locking themselves into decade-long development cycles, smaller studios are eating their lunch right now with games that cost less than a fast food combo, and they're making a heck of a lot more people smile. What I think adds a lot more pressure to this situation is it doesn't just concern the video games industry. It doesn't just involve the video games industry. It's pretty much worldwide and industry-wide at this point. And
it happens with food
as more disruptive technology is introduced, as more jobs disappear, people are just going to have fewer options outside of the folks that are already going to be retired. But it's not just going to be younger generations. It's going to be all generations. And I just don't see how you get around that while you're actively contributing to it and also contributing to your own decline. You know, I brought this up last.
Well, they don't care about their own decline, because I think the stock market is a lot more focused on the present than it should be. Like it's not the stock market is never focused on the future. It's not like, oh, in 10 years we should become that company. It's all about making as much money as they can right now. And I think that is a big problem that we have in society right now with shareholders.
But we've seen video game piracy, especially in South America, just explode over the last couple of years,
it's
and
gonna
also
get
in
worse,
a lot of
trust
other
me.
countries as well. And I think that's going to
That's
be
the
coming
start.
here too. And I think there's three leading factors. One, games are far too expensive, and then they're also having their access revoked, removed. Games are just becoming less available. We've seen games completely de-indexed from a lot of stores in some cases. You know, people are in this battle right now for video game ownership as well. And the other thing is that just a lot of games aren't very good anymore, especially from AAA.
Yeah.
And when you don't trust the product, you're not going to really want to spend money on it. So you might try to find another way to be able to check it out or experience it or see if you'd actually like it. And I'm predicting that a lot more people are just going to be sailing the 7 seas when it comes to some of this stuff. Just the easiest way to be able to get around it. You know, well, I think that they believe that free to play is going to be the best option for them because that's going to be able to avoid the whole, well, people aren't making money. That's fine. You can play our games for free. And then there's only $2 or $3 or $5 or $20 or $100 that you can spend on our game. I think that people really like their single player games. I think they like their one-off co-op experiences, something that they're not going to constantly play and turn into a lifestyle or anything like that. And we used to have those kind of games. We used to have those games of quality and affordability in AAA that offer those one-off experiences, and we see less and less of them every single year. You know, back in the early 2000s and early and mid to late 2000s, we had games like Kane and Lynch and Army of Two. We had Burnout and Crazy Taxi and stuff like that, but a lot of that stuff is gone now. And people really like their self-contained experiences. They used to be affordable, they used to be around, and now the only one that's delivering them is indie. How do you compete with that?
That is exactly what,
I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy that a lot of these companies haven't jumped on to the trend with some of these indie games. They keep following each other and running around in circles rather than paying attention to what some of these guys are doing. And
they should,
just giving their studios something a little bit more controlled, a little bit more realistic to make, something that's actually going to be able to reach people for a solid price. I'll give some credit where credit is due. Xbox, at least with Obsidian, they let them make Grounded or Pentiment. They let those guys make...
Yeah, they're not all bad.
What was it? I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. They let them make that, but then they just got rid of the studio afterwards. EA invests money into games like It Takes Two and Split Fiction, but at the exact same time, this is just like a couple of games, and these guys are just not doing this kind of stuff at scale where they totally could and could be raking in a ton of money
Absolutely.
right now.
And the thing that's sad...
Maybe I just...
The thing that's sad is that... Okay, I'm going to let him
just don't
finish.
understand anything. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. I am tired. I'm also sick, I think. I think I have a head cold right now. There's something going on with my sinuses. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, share the video with your friends, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and catch me when I'm not sick. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.
Hell yeah. So,
Share
So-
the video.
that was a very good video, and I think it exposes a very big problem that we have with video games. But what I wanted to say is that I think it's really sad because you see that this guy is passionate about video games, like we are, like I am, and you see the gaming industry declining in front of your eyes, and there's basically nothing you can do. And it is so sad because you see it, you care about games, you care about your hobby, you care about it, but you just see it decline, and it sucks because I really want video games to become better, to become more like better quality, to have new games that's coming out every year that we're excited about, but it feels like we're heading a completely different way, and it sucks.